consulting, but post his retirement from the firm, right? Pakintola Williams started this practice, as it was mentioned, in 1952, but probably people didn't know that he's left his practice, he's retired 40 years ago, right? He retired 40 years ago. So I'm only a few years older than that. So for it's and he run a practice that has been enduring for that number of years. And so when you're actually looking at an epitome of success, he definitely qualifies for that. I was so filled with pride the first time I saw his profile within the Deloitte network. I think I was in Deloitte University in Texas, and I saw a massive, repository of how he has related with the Deloitte Global Network, when his role within the profession, and how it's so revered. So you know that this man, it's word acclaim, right? If you go to our head office in South Africa or our South African office today, an entire wall, a history wall, a significant portion of that is devoted to his role in the place of history as far as the profession is concerned. So what John Maxwell said, that there is no success without successor, it's actually very apt, and Mr. Akintola Williams typifies that. So what I wanted to first of all start with, before I get into the some of the core elements of my conversation, is to then look at his life. We just laid him to rest in the last week. In fact, part of the reason why this session could not hold last week was because of the funeral event that was planned. It was a week-long event that I'm sure many of us on the call also interacted with. I know there are probably a number of council members that are also on the call as well, because the institute also have an elaborate council destined for him. The week before, prior, I was in Abuja at the Ican conference. Maybe many of us were also there. Significant part of that, the whole 1 week, the number of days we had in Abuja, was also devoted to him. There was an history wall, and all of that. So what came to my mind when I wanted to put this together is to say, look, the only reason somebody like me qualifies to come and have this session with you is because of him, right? I've not built my own practice, and I have had a successor that takes it up after me. So personally, I'm not even qualified. Otherwise, it would be very theoretical, whatever I'll be sharing with you. But I believe the reason why I'm, in this place having this conversation today is because of Pakintola Williams. Okay, because of what he built, and because of my interaction with the legacies he built, and lessons that I believe anyone that is willing to learn, can pick from that. So what I did was to kind of reflect over my period of interaction with him, the stories I've heard about him, and then particularly all of the tributes and all of the conversation we had about Pakintola Williams over this last couple of days since he died. So what were those things that I thought stood him out? And if there's someone who is thinking about building a practice that lasts, or a business that lasts, because if you know Pakintola Williams very well, it wasn't just the profession or the firm that he established that is the legacy that is put in behind. Ican, it was very pivotal to the setting up. Today, Ican is standing very strong. He was instrumental to the establishment of the stock exchange. The stock exchange is standing strong. Metropolitan Club, he was instrumental to setting it up. Is sitting very strongly. All right. The Muson Center, again. So you can look around all that he's been involved with. You see that there's a commonality. These are not just by accidents that all of these things are happening. So the first thing I think came to my mind is his own, personal competence and capabilities that is built from his training, from his education, right? He's a very well-grounded man. He schooled abroad, he schooled here, he got exposed to different kind of things, and he had experience. We just had on this call how he was also an IRS man, and he worked, in different places. So your exposure, your education, your experience determines your world view. The reason why he was able to know that I can bring someone else and he wasn't feeling intimidated by what will happen or allowing greed, all right, to override is because his world view has been shaped by his exposure, his education, his experience. And it's very important. If on this call you ask some of our colleagues to, or anywhere else, if you talk to anyone about partnership, about business, and all of that, your knowledge of how businesses are run or what advantage it brings to you and what limitations you suffer when you are running a single practice or what advantage you may have if you add another person in can actually limit, determine your response to it. So his exposure, his education is important. And it was instrumental to what he did. He literally built a structure and a system that works around every areas of his interest. He knows that the profession needs a future. He supported and collaborated with some people and set up an institute. He loved music. He established a museum center. He wants his investment and all of that to be secured and want tradability for his investment. He saw to the establishment of a stock exchange. All right, he wants to unwind and have relaxation. He supported the building up of a club where he could unwind and all that. So he literally built structure, and he understood that when the system works, that you don't need to be there to run the system on your own. It's because of his worldview. The second is his vision. All right. He's a very strategic person. If you look at the explanation I've given, he's very future focused, he's very long-term oriented. So anyone who is going to build something that lasts, you must be able to see beyond the immediate. You must be long-term. You must think about 5, 10, 15 years. You must think about what will happen if I'm not there. Okay, so your ability to delegate, your ability to ask some other people to take responsibilities because you know that you will not always be there. But if you don't have that long-term view, you think everything should start and end with you. And then once you are done, everything packs up. Vision, very, very important. The other is his ethical standard. A lot was said, and many of us can probably say more than I can in terms of what we've heard and known of him about his personal integrity, about his honesty, and the information within the partnership about how he ran the business, how he was open, how he was transparent. It's quite outstanding, when you listen to them. The other, it's about his network. Okay, the people he has access to and how he leveraged, and multiplied impacts because he has more people. So he knows that he's strong, but no matter how strong he is, there will be areas that he's weak. There will be areas where he's not available. And so he replicated himself through mentorship. A number of our retired partners, when we had our night of tributes on Monday, many of them were talking about how he handheld them, how he saw the future with them, how he asked them to go and do this, to go and do that. And after many years, he built people that are not only as strong as him, but almost stronger in a number of areas. So he recognized the place of network, the place of mentorship, and he does this whether it's in the professional circle, whether it's in this business, whether it's in social, even whether with government. He has a very broad network, and he was able to leverage that. The other is around his focus on structure. He understood that he needs to build a system rather than build an organization that revolves around him. If you don't build an organization, okay, if you realize that when you are there, things work. When you are not there, things collapse. He knows he has to be a leader. Okay, but you are not a leader without having a follower. All right, and of course, he was someone who understood the power of delayed gratification. Okay, many of the life that Parkinson Williams enjoyed after he retired, he probably didn't even have, I will assume, he may probably not have enjoyed as much of that when he was in practice. So he developed so many people that now took it as their own personal responsibility and obligation to look after him post retirement. So that's the kind of person. And so and I think for me that's a starting point to say, okay, so the business that I'm running, so personally, what kind of brand do I have to be able to attract other people in, to be able to attract the kind of talent or the kind of clients that I want? It's the very starting point. Start first with you. All right. And then if I move forward, so looking at the practice or looking at the business that he has, is put behind. If you ask me a question around, please, one is talking. Okay, thank you. So what are the key pillars of, a successful practice from what I've seen of practices? There'll probably be quite a number of them, but I've, for the purpose of this conversation, group them into 5 things. And that's very important if you want to build a successful practice. The first is diversified expertise. Okay. And again, when you look at success or a successful practice from this realm, you see how it begins to influence and open up your mind to possibilities of, attracting more skill or even investing in some people to build certain type of skill so that your future or the future of the practice can be guaranteed. Okay. A practice that succeeds or a practice that has diversified skill and expertise is likely going to endure, because you wither through different storm. Different kind of offering will be high in demand at a particular time. So if you want to build a successful practice, please, can the admin please help? Maybe you want to mute everybody first and then unmute me so that the interruption can be minimized. Thank you. All right. So consider, working with, diverse skill. And when you're recruiting people, all right, right from, the staff that you're recruiting, or even considering possibility of teaming up with other people, look at how to diversify skills. Okay. How to have different type of expertise, people with different kind of relationship. Okay, you can use different bases. You can use gender, you can use core competencies in certain specific field, you can use ethnicity, you can use geographical spread. So if you know that you have penchant for this type of service, or you are from this part of the country, or you are from this area of religion or something, so the more diversified you have, the more likely you are able to attract people from different areas. So build a team of professionals that have expertise in various fields of practice. Okay. Avoid this silo mentality or I want to own it all. Okay. There is nothing better, if you own 100% of, a very small practice versus when you own just a small percentage of a very big and thriving practice. And when you can complement each other. There are moments when you are the rave of the moment in the market, and there are moments when it's someone, that person that is selling. So collaborating together with that person can be an advantage. The second pillar is the brand or the reputation of the organization. Again, we're talking succession, but this thing doesn't happen 1 year to your retirement. You need to have built certain type of market acceptance and recognition. Okay, to be able to have people join, people stay, people take over that business, after you. So focus on building a strong brand for the firm in specific niche area. All right, you can, and we're having so many specialization across different fields. Okay, so whether it's audit, whether it's investigation, whether it's forensic, whether it's taxation, whether it's financial advisory, whether it's different field. Okay, so but have a niche service area. Develop what you call your unique selling proposition. There has to be something that your own organization is known for, right? And build momentum around it. Okay, including commitment to integrity and professionalism and quality, so that you can attract and retain clients. So that people know, even within the organization, have ethos, that people recognize your organization for, and therefore they're able to stay with you. The third pillar is about client relationship, because at the end of the day, this is a business. All right. You need to be able to, strike and maintain strong client relationships. And one of the ways by which you do this is through the quality of the services that you offer, and then the relationship you have with your clients, because that keeps the job coming. But more importantly, it also makes them your advocates. They advertise and they give you referrals. So you must be able to have this client for life relationship. I've had few instances where even as a big firm, right, we're proposing or we're trying to get certain types of clients, and they will tell you that maybe you can do something else for us, but in this particular area, there's a particular small firm that, because of the relationship, because of the way they've been working with them, they will rather want to keep that service provider, even though it's a much smaller firm, because of the power of relationship. So you need to invest in relationship and pay it forward with clients, so that when they get to certain level, rather than think they want to dump you and go for the bigger person, they are seeing how you are also building capacity and you are practically growing together, right? And leverage all the available network to build client relationships, school, religious organization, your social network, and all of that. What you are today, there are probably sizes, there are people across the same level in organization who are more or less your level. They are rising in their organization, you are rising in your business. Before you know what's happening, in under 5-10 years, the people who are just like small officers are the director level in that organization, and they have buying power. So leverage your network. The other pillar is about professional development. All right. This is about learning. This is about capacity building. Our service area is a knowledge business. If you don't invest in continuous training, continuous personal development for yourself, for your senior people, and for your employees, so that their skills are kept up to date and align with trends, you'll be out of demand. Knowledge is the stock in trade for professional service. So you must be able to jump on the new tools. In fact, for smaller organizations, whereas the large firms have the advantage of scale and network from other colleagues around the world, smaller firms also have the advantage of agility. They can do things faster. You don't go through long protocols, and all of that. So jump on new tools, test new, new skills, new technology, and keep yourself up to date. The market is looking for the skills. Okay, and then the other is around how you then link all of this up with thinking future. Okay, in terms of succession planning, there has to be a clear and effective roadmap that you have. And that comes from how you identify talents, how you groom future leaders, and how you build trust in them through all that you do within the organization, from your reward system to your appraisal to your development system, so that they feel that they are part of this organization and they think they have a future. The challenge that many people working with smaller organizations will have is to see an organization that looks like they're just working for Mr. So-and-so, and all they could see is you, your family, and all of that, and they don't see themselves other than earning a living. But if they see themselves as being part of that business, and they know that in as much as you are the owner and you are the one that set it up, this is a business that has a future for us, they will get your commitment. Otherwise, they will stay with you, especially if for their first job, and the next available opportunity for any big firm or mid-tier firm, they jump out. Just because you've not been able to win their loyalty because of the way the business is run. Things like how you incentivize and encourage the entrepreneurial spirit, how they see themselves as part of that business, how you encourage and bolster their interests. All right, it will be part of it. So this is my first point on the foundations that needs to be built. First is about yourself, and then the next is these 5 areas that you need to focus on. Then if I move on, particularly building on the first point I made around diversified expertise and talking about succession, it's around being open to a practice that is not just 100% owned by you. There are many professional accountants in practice, even though they register a partnership firm, even though they have another person who is supposedly appearing on the CAC document as a partner in the business, is essentially a one-man show. Okay, and for many reasons, sometimes for lack of vision, sometimes because they just want to get it going and all of that. But I've told you that when you have diversified expertise, it balances skill, it balances what market is looking for, it balances your ability to sell. And so you can consider, succession first from even having a partnership. Maybe the two of you are not even in the same age. So you have already created an automatic successor if you're already in partnership with someone, especially if you are not of, maybe there's a little bit of age gap, okay, or maybe it's an emergency or an unforeseen circumstance that makes one person to exit faster. So there's someone else who will take it up. But when you are running a partnership, or when you're thinking about a partnership, three things that I want to share around partnering with purpose, okay, and making sure. So the first is making sure that the legal structure or the legal formality is well, clearly laid out. Things like partnership agreement. You may be friends, you may be church members, you may be your member in an Islamic society or whatever other faith or whatever thing that brings you together. But business needs to be spelled out in as much black and white as possible for clarity, to avoid ambiguity, and to be able to deal with the issue. Have, a standard agreement, okay, with some of those key features. Things like, how do we contribute capital? What's our profit sharing ratio? Do we pay interest on capital? What do we do, on drawings, on, conflict of interest, or how do we do business development? How do we reward those who bring certain type of business in? How do we, resolve our issues? If there are, all those things needs to be clearly laid out. You can't use friendship to just do it. Otherwise, today is done well, tomorrow is a different thing. And ensure there's fairness, there's openness, there's probity, there's accountability. Let there be a discipline, and self-restraint. Understand where your rights start and end, even though you are the senior partner or the managing partner or the founding partner, but you have brought another person to be a partner. You can be, bringing all the expenses from your family and from your vacation and from your children's school. If the terms of your union didn't specify so, but the other person can't do it, he will endure it for a while, and by the time you think you need the person the most, the person breaks away. Right? So setting the rule and maintaining that discipline is very important. Okay. Remember also that you are jointly and severally liable, to each other. So avoid using the business name or the business asset to get into, or to resolve your own personal interests, at the expense or to the detriment of the other persons. Avoid things like conflict of interest, where you have a partnership, you are running it together, but you have another business that you are using to, you use the same facility of the business to get a project or something, and then you are running it as an aside. So those are the kind of things that you need to avoid. And of course, make sure that the kind of person you are bringing in there's an alignment of values. You can't be in partnership with everybody. All right, you need to know what brings you together. Dot the I's and cross the T's, and be sure that the person you are bringing in. So one of the ways of ensuring succession is through partnership, and having someone, particularly if you do it with the point I mentioned around, different skills. So that there's a value add for this person to bring in. Maybe it's the business development capacity, maybe it's the knowledge in this area, maybe I'm tax, you are audit, or maybe I'm financial advisory or consulting oriented kind of a person, and you are compliance, kind of a person, those kind of things. The second thing that you must consider in partnership is around marketing and business development. It's very important. For a few people that have related with maybe contemporaries who are trying to run their own business, or who have struggled a bit with partnering with other people, sometimes the issue is always around business development. So I make more money than he does, I sell better than he does, he's lazy, I do this. So set rules and incentivize good behavior, the kind of behavior that you want to see put your reward system around it. Set rules and KPI on business development. So how much revenue is each partner supposed to bring in, or what is the percentage of profit share if you bring X percentage of business? And it's agreed ahead of time. It's not because you are the one that made the most sales and then you got to the end of the year and say, oh, I think I should get more. Before we all started, we all knew this is how it's going to run. Okay, ensure openness and accountability in the way you manage your finance so that trust can be earned, especially if it's such that it's not everybody that is involved in signing the checks and doing the bank's approval. It's business can be the easiest way to cause fights among friends. All right, and where your skill set and your capability permits, okay, you can also identify people I call hunters and farmers within the business and ensure that both are appropriately rewarded. What I mean by that is that the hunters are those who have eyes for killing, for getting the largesse in. These are the marketers. They can sell water to the fish. All right, they are out there. And then some are just farmers. They just know how to get the delivery. Some people can sell, any type of service to you, but get them to deliver the report, get them to get the job done, they cannot. And some, they may not have the skill to be able to have the sweet mouth and sell and market, but when you give them the job, they know what to do. The client will be so happy with the report. It can also be another strategy. Both are necessary. We want the job, but we also want the job done. And you can find a way of making sure that your profit sharing or your reward system, align with that, including your staff as well. Okay, it doesn't even have to be at the partner level or at the senior manager. It's also a process that you can introduce even at the more junior level. So if somebody has eyes for looking at the details and getting the job done, you can leverage their skill more in that area. And then if some people are more outgoing, they just want to be at every event, at every function, but as they are doing that, they are marketing, they are making money, leverage it because you need both. Okay, the third leg on partnering or having a partnership is around now looking at the future, business continuity. Okay, you must have, again, remember the point I shared about Parkinsola Williams. You must be future focused, you must be long-term oriented. Put structure in place for business continuity. By the way partnerships are run, we kill whatever we eat whatever we kill every year. That's the way it is. What's the profit? What's the profit sharing ratio? Share everything, let everything go to individual current account, and then we start another year. But current business practice shows that cannot work. You must be able to set aside some fund into, and invest into the future. Okay, evaluate, asset ownership, but also be mindful of the intricacies. So do we want to buy, invest in certain property? It has its intricacies because as one person goes, the person is saying, let's sell this asset so I can get my own, so if you put the right structure around it, it's part of the way that you can invest in the future. Okay, and when you think the top is becoming heavy and all of that, and people are already thinking, oh, are you the only one that can be managing partner or running this thing? You can expand into business area and make them head of this business, head of that business. You can go into different territories. You can go into different markets and leverage your gray hair experience. All right, so business continuity, business development, putting in legal structure, key things I want to share under the partnership. The other point I want to share is around business development, which is around marketing. Because at the end of the day, the challenge that most businesses are having with respect to how strong their businesses are is because they don't have the opportunity, they don't have the market, they don't have the business. So many times I run into colleagues and friends who say, oh, you mean, but I know it's not all of the opportunities that you guys can work on, as Deloitte. I know that it's not all the opportunities that you guys can work on as colleagues, as Deloitte. Can you refer it to us? Can you do this? So marketing is also a big issue. Okay, and as more people get into the fray, the opportunities are there. Maybe it's also a measure of the depth of our market and some of the struggle that is going on. But it's a sizable economy for quite a lot more professional service providers to still thrive. So it's about knowing how to do marketing the right way. And I've shared on this slide maybe 4 personal experiences on what I think can help, in marketing and business development. So the first is, leveraging your network around your direct contacts. At the end of the day, there are probably a few more professional accountants than you that have the same kind of knowledge and skill that you have. So in some cases, when knowledge and expertise is kind of common, who you know or the contact that you have can be the change, or can make all the difference. So leverage your network. And accountants are particularly, most of us accountants, let me use that and personalize it. Most of us are very reserved, very, maybe it's because, that's why we got into the profession in the first place. So maybe we'll have done arts, or we'll have gone into law or marketing if we're naturally wired to be extroverts. All right. If you do personality profile testing, most chartered accountants will be introverted. All right. But introversion will not get the job done, will not put money in your pocket, will not put food on that table. So you must build the kind of skill that allows you to, leverage your network, and you can find your ways of doing it. You don't have to be going to nightclubs or night parties, and all of that. You can do it in your church, you can do it in your mosque, you can do it with your school groups, and all of that. All right. Please let me mute Mr. Kadi. All right. So leverage your network, your relationship, okay, and also the personal eminence that you are building. Because as someone in business, you have to be visible, in professional and in business and professional circles. You have to be visible. You can't be running your own business and people don't know you. You are not on social media. You are not on traditional media. You are not writing articles in print. You are not writing anything on LinkedIn. You are not on, you don't attend many social events. You come to those social events. You don't mingle. Maybe 5,000 to 8,000. I was told almost 8,000 people gathered at Ican conference the last time. Some of them are in business. Some of them are CFOs and head of finance in different things. I don't see why a chartered accountant will attend an annual conference and you will not build at least one or two relationship with someone that you can do business with. What do you do with all of those breaks that happens in between? So you must use your contacts. You must leverage it your every way possible, because it's when they know you, and you must break out of that shell. The second is recognizing that the best way to sell to any client is to do the work that he has given you well, satisfactorily, so that there can be a repeat order. Every client must create an additional business opportunity for you. No matter how much these people paid to you, and trust me, I know that there are quite a lot of clients that will give you peanuts and they will be looking for Deloitte type of service. You had better do it if you have signed up to do that job. Never allow the amount any client pay you to reduce the quality of your job. I'm not saying do out of scope, but the one that you have agreed to do, you must do it so that the client at the end of every deliverable feel they are indebted to you because they got more than they paid for. It may look like short-term loss to you, but that's what determines longevity. Because if you don't do it well because the fee was not good, when he's able to pay the right fee, he will not call you. He will go to the next person. So focus on quality and client satisfaction. Do more with few clients again as well, so that you can grow together. And the experience I always use for this, I have a banker friend who every time this person calls me, the person will be asking, "Oh, introduce me to your friends now, introduce me to your colleagues." I'm like, do you know that even for me, you're probably not doing 20% of my financial services? If you focus a lot more on getting me pleased and satisfied, maybe you will get me to bring more of those business to you and you minimize your headache. It's the same me with the same complaint and with the same challenge, but now you are getting more for my troubles. But if what you're looking for is just adding another your meat to the list, that one gives you also another 10% of his business or his or her business, but he's looking for your time, he's looking for your attention and all of that. So you can do more with fewer clients by serving them a lot more and you grow together. Okay. The third way of business development is about referrals. Okay, when clients are satisfied, they tend to introduce you to other people. In fact, when they know that they couldn't pay, they feel like, oh, there's the way they can show off, that they are helping you with the fact that you have served them is when they introduce you to another client. And you can only do this through a sustained quality service and building relationship. Okay. The fourth way is around incentivizing business development effort by your employees. Consider ways that makes the employee know that if we refer opportunity, okay, we have a skin in the game. And this is part of the thing that build the sense of ownership. This is what makes them feel like, okay, if we started like this, maybe there is future for us in this business, and they will be a lot more settled to be able to grow with the business. In terms of brand, maybe four things. I've spent close to about 40 minutes now. Maybe I have less than 15 minutes to wrap up, and I will be wrapping up soon. All right. So in terms of building a brand that is reputable, four things that I just wanted to mention here. The first is around focus on technical excellence, okay, which is the quality of your work and the knowledge that you exude. I can tell you that there are, in this market, particularly in my field of practice, there are individuals who are running own practices, but who are really well respected, even by big brands. When they can't give certain type of service to them, maybe because they want to play with, the big boys in the market and all of that, they know when they can leverage them or when they can use them. So it's really a knowledge business, and I can't overemphasize this. So when you have the stuff, the market will recognize it, right? Focus on quality and focus on eminence. The service, the quality of your deliverables and your output. Look for template, look for how to package it. Sometimes one of the things I've seen with big firms, and I've had the experience of working in small firms as well. In a small firm, I did my youth service with a small firm in Benin in 1999, and I started with that firm for maybe another 1 more year, all right, before I left, 99, 2000. Okay, and I've related with quite a number of other colleagues. So the quality of your output and how well known, how you build this thing around yourself, it's very, 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 very important. Every professional, okay, that's running a business needs to build that personal market recognition, because that's what the market actually buy. That's what the market buy. And there are few people like that the market recognize. And you need to find ways of doing that. The new media has democratized, this kind of platform to share. Build a space on your LinkedIn, on your YouTube page, on Twitter, or on Facebook. You're a professional beyond the Instagram showing when you are eating this and when you are traveling the world. So build a brand around it as well, and drive traffic to it. Focus on values, which is about ethical standards, because again, this is and you will see that the conversation I'm having, if you're following the context, is that the outcome we are looking for is actually the totality of a number of other elements that we may not pay attention to. Succession is not just when you're about to leave the firm and you want to see who will I hand it to, and then you're now doing the interview and all of that. So do you even have a brand, that somebody will be interested in taking if the person has a chance or a choice rather, okay, to choose? Have you built that level of trust? Have you built a brand that is reputed enough for somebody to say, I will stay with this brand rather than be looking for the next job interview by Deloitte? Okay, so ethical standard, and then talent development, how you focus on building your next level leader. You have to invest in training, and I would say a few more around that, because this actually talks to the totality of how you motivate your people, inspire their interests, in business, and by extension, you are then building your succession pipeline. And I've put quite a few things on this table, and I will just run through it in anti-cyclical circle. So how do you motivate your team and build that next generation of interest that will stay long with you, and get to a point where you can hand it over to them. Okay, so the first is around the compensation and the reward. And what I'm saying here is not about you breaking bank or doing things that is beyond the financial limitation of the business. But you have to remember, one of the last points I mentioned with Parkinson Williams is selflessness and how less greedy of a person he was. Otherwise, he wouldn't ask other people to join his partnership, right? So compensation has to be competitive. If your business model allow, let that compensation have some bit of variable pay, that is kind of bonus and reward attached to it. If the people know that this amount you are paying is the quantum that your business can afford, it's a lot easier for them, to understand that when they think, oh, we are making so much, and this is the little I'm being paid. So that's part of the thing that brings disloyalty. So look at your compensation and reward. Look at the training and the exposure you give to your people. Okay, because again, this is about long term. If you think they will go, if you train them, just think about it. If they decide not to go, and you did not train them, all right. So you just have blood knife that you want to be, to be cutting the tree. So give opportunity for them so that they can build their capacity. And again, this doesn't have to, you don't have to do what you cannot have. I'm not saying send them to so many international conferences when you don't even have the means, but give opportunity for on-the-job training, be deliberate, seminars here, self-learning opportunity, technical session within the team. Some of those may not even cost you extra, but you are investing in them. You are not hoarding knowledge. All right. Encourage them and reward them. And when you see people who show a lot of interest in learning, encourage them, and reward them so that you can motivate other people. All right. Build a system for career progression. All right. A structure of promotion, a structure of career development. One of the things that make people leave small firms. I've also had my fair share. I've worked around quite a few before I ended up with, with Deloitte. All right. One of the things that usually get people leave smaller firms is because there's no structure of career progression or career development. And you don't have to be a Deloitte to be able to have a career progression. Create a structure for graduate trainee. Maybe after 2 years or 1 year, you become associate or become certified, or you become a senior, or you become, in the business, create your own terms. But everyone wants to see that pattern of I'm growing beyond the fact that maybe you're adding to their salary. So let there be that, let them see that this is the ladder and this is where the ladder ends. Let it not also not be a ladder that ends nowhere. So every year the thing just gets taller and taller and taller and taller, and they can't see the end in sight. All right. Give them responsibilities. Challenge them with new tasks, challenge them with new rules, especially with the Gen Zs. One of the things I've learned, and I'm still learning, in this area, is the more you challenge them and let them feel like, I need you, you can do this, by yourself, and just throw them into the water, the more you get from them, so try that in your business as well. If the other point on the other side is culture of creativity and innovation, which is kind of connected to challenging them. Just create this culture where innovation and thinking and creativity is allowed. Again, it absorbs a lot of energy of the Gen Zs. Okay, don't penalize failed attempts. Encourage initiatives so that it promotes sense of ownership. It builds their confidence to try more. All right, and try, if you can, as much as you can, to infuse some bit of fun and excitement into your work place, because it helps people to just lower their guard and be a lot more vulnerable, so they can tell you about their plan, about their family, about their other issues. So socialize with them, allow friendly atmosphere. This is what makes them feel like they are connected, and that's the only reason they can be thinking of staying with you for long. All right, and when you can, connect also with their family. Okay, it's quite a different ball game when your guy, knows your family, knows your children, knows your spouse, and all of that. Again, it builds that bond. And when and if they must leave, let them live on good notes. Don't create a enmity because somebody is leaving you. In fact, if they tell you, encourage them, help them. You never can tell. They may just be the clients in another few years on the on the other side. My closing thoughts. So I can end it here. All right. Just summarizing, just about the thing I have mentioned in the course of the session. All right. So the first thing is to build an enduring legacy. From what you said, from what we've shared so far, you see that there has to be some deliberateness. It requires deliberate action, very deliberate action, future thinking, forward thinking. As you're investing in people, you know exactly what the end game is. Okay. The second is having a diversified team and partnering. It's a good feature to be able to think the future. Okay, partner with purpose. Find somebody with the right value, but somebody also who complements your skill, who can help in areas where you are weak, or who can, whether it's from marketing or business development or a particular skill set and all of that, and introduce that also even into the recruitment process and the kind of people that you hire. Okay, and focus on important things. That's the third thing, particularly things around talent development and client relationship. Talent development and client relationship. Those two things are important. You can't build a successful practice and a business that lasts if you have not built a pipeline, okay, through some of the points that we have made, and if you don't have the clients, okay, that will bring the business. Number 4 is around structure. Okay, put structure in place, whether it's partnership agreement, a procedural manual, documenting how things are done, and you can challenge people at different areas. So put this something together so we can use it to train the new associate, or we train the new managers, or we train people in this area. It's part of the ways to build continuity. Don't carry the knowledge only in your head. Okay, when you are not there, people should be able to run through the process flow and be able to arrive at just about the same conclusion. Okay, and if you are running a partnership, particularly as people are growing, okay, focus on the hot pepper issues, as I call them. There are a number of the things that immediately throw business apart. When profits, profit sharing, how we reward ourselves, who gets what, who is entitled to what, can be a very tough issue when you are running a business. All right, and then the last point. Okay, it's think long term. Okay, think strategic. Delay gratification. All right, don't think about, if I have someone else, you will share the distance with me, and all of that. See how you can invest, in that future benefit that will come when the pie gets bigger, and of course, build gradually. No matter how much we desire success to happen overnight, the kind of businesses, the Deloitte that we're talking about today, it's a 70-something-year-old business in Nigeria. I'm sure this was not, maybe Mr. Akina Williams himself would not have imagined this size of business when he was leaving the business in 1983. And if anything, they can only envision it at best. He probably will not know. So sometimes there's a scripture in the, a scripture reference that I love so much. After you have done everything, you need patience to be able to receive the promise. So sometimes patience is also very important. Okay, be patient for the seed to grow, so that the desired future that you have envisioned, you can ultimately have it. I think I've spent about 50 minutes. I said I would save like 5 minutes or thereabouts. I will end it there on this note, and maybe we can then go to Q&A or the rest of the conversation. So thank you so very much for listening to me over the last 50 minutes. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. We can give electronic clapping to Mr. Yomi Olubero. Mr. Yomi, we thank you for your thoughts. Really appreciate it. Right now, it's time for question and answer. Let's see as many members that have questions, let's raise our hands so that we can be recognized. Olumide Okegbemi, are you raising up your hand?
I've been told that after a speaker spends so much time delivering, once there's no question, it's just an evidence that he has only spoken to himself.
At all. That's not the case yet.
Okay, just challenging people to
Okay.
yeah.
We have Oyeyemi. Are you raising your hand? Isaac Ojo, you want to ask a question?
Yes.
Let me, so that I can be able to give us number. That's why I want to be sure. Isaac Ojo, you are number one. Then Olusesun, the IPC of Ikeja, you are number two. Olusesun Okunade.
I hope he wasn't listening when I said I want to reconsider my district membership.
Of course, we are confining one to you today.
Sorry, we are waiting to take you in immediately.
Yes. So Wendy Garuba Ayeni, you are number three. Who is there again? Who again? Before we let's take
another person says up his hand.
Amara.
We have one Oyeka Amara. Yes.
Amara, that's number four. Who again? We have one more so that we put it like that. Okay, let's start with number one. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So, Mr. Yomi, please, do we take all the questions together so that you just have your answer once?
That's fine. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So, number one, please, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yomi. Thank you for the beautiful presentation. My own is just like a comment and for the big four that we have, I just want to ask what the effort the big four is actually doing to ensure that the young shall grow like us in practice, actually grow in terms of collaboration, maybe joint audit, effort in that wise that will actually help us as well to grow and to actually have that exposure too, so that we can actually do as we would like to be doing. And this succession we are talking of too, we can be exposed to actually do things in that wise as time goes on. So that exposure too, as you have really mentioned during the course of the discussion, it is their exposure that will actually make you to see a larger, bigger picture and see things in another perspective. So what is the big four is actually doing to ensure collaborations in terms of joint audit and to bring the young ones up? That is just my simple stuff, so that we can, if we have that kind of a thing, we can be aspire to key into those things and make a lot of benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number two, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Garo Dikin-Ropo. Good afternoon to all participants and the chairman of Ilukbeju Bagada, the Model District, and to my brother and friend, Yomi. Thanks for that insightful presentation. My question border around trust and exposure. You are able to nail it on the head by saying most accountants are introverts, and to make things happen, you need extrovert part of it. How do you the Yomi I know a few years back is not the Yomi of today, because it's only this presentation they know. When they see the other side of you digging it, they know that you are not an introvert but an extrovert. So how do you translate to that other side? Then how do you build that trust? The fundamental thing is people will want to go into partnership, but there are some red flags, let me put it that way, that one can identify to know that this is not an area to go into with this person. Can you highlight some of those things when you are actually exchanging with people? kudos to the model districts and congratulations to the chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Number 3, please.
Yes, I say good afternoon to everyone, our great participants. Mine is not a question, but to appreciate our presenter, who is always very much available. We say a very big thank you to what you have done this afternoon, because if we are to pay for this, we all know what it's likely to be. I appreciate you personally, and everyone, I'm sure they do the same. And I also want to say a very big thank you to the Model District, our very good friend. Well done. I say well done to everyone in that district. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. The next person, please.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Yomi, I just want to thank you very much for this presentation before I ask my questions, because it seemed to me like your presentation was coming at the time that I kind of needed this putting through, so much. So my first question is this: what will be your advice for spouse who are running businesses? Because sometimes when you're running a business with your spouse, it seems like when you're trying to put a structure, maybe you're trying to carve out, something for you to hold, maybe in case that marriage doesn't hold or something. When you're running a business with your spouse, all your effort at putting a structure looks like it's like your escape route, or so I need your practical advice in that regard. I know a lot of people might be in this same shoe. When you're running a business with your spouse, what would be the best way to go around putting a structure to that business? Then the second question would be this: some service businesses, that income comes in when they have contract or when they have business, which is not like every day. And then you have staff that are working for you. So sometimes it looks like, you pay them so little, but you make so much. So what other means do you have to use for you to be remunerated or compensated, so they don't feel so much left out or cheated? Thank you.
Thank you. Please, if you are not the one speaking, please kindly. Well, thank you. All right. I want Mr. Yomi to respond to this one. If you have asked your question, kindly put down your end so that it will not be paining you, so that we know the genuine people that are raising their ends again. Well, I would love him to quickly respond to this.
Right. Thank you so much. Fantastic. This is why I like engaging with colleagues and professionals. So their questions even challenge you, to think more broadly. Isaac Ojo, well, you said it was more of comment, but I think it's also a question. So your question was around what the Big Four is doing to then support. In defense of the Big Four, I think we're doing quite a lot, probably not enough, and across different things. So I know that for a number of statutory audits, right, a number of Big Four do what we call joint audits, okay? But at the end of the day, there are only just a certain number of joint auditors that you can bring on a particular account. And maybe it's also the capacity and the exposure and the eminence or prominence that those other businesses already have that sometimes will determine whether they are known enough to qualify to be part of that project. Because like you said, for most of the joint audit, I think the big firm just essentially just use it as a way of exposure and training. You end up doing like 98% of the job, even though maybe from a fee or from the way it looks, it may look like a 70-30. Of course, the people who are giving you the audit as well, they are essentially just relying on you. They're just allowing the formality of having a joint audit. So, but there are opportunities for joint audits, but who those joint auditors are, the potential joint auditor is determined by, the exposure and the knowledge, because you can't bring everybody, okay? I also know that quite a lot of time, and this is not just audit, even within my own space, there are different instances where certain type of briefs come to me, and I know that either because of fee or because of our take-home process, or because we also have some bit of threshold, we may not be able to work with this type of entity or this type of business because they're too small. In fact, sometimes they come to us knowing that you cannot handle the job, but they're looking for referrals to the other smaller player that can do it. So that comes quite a lot. And I know how many of those I get on, almost every now and then. But I will refer them to the people that I know, to the people who are visible, to the people who have raised up their hands, okay, in the past. And if it's just me, I mean, within Deloitte alone, in Nigeria, we have about 50 of us who are partners, okay? And so I will imagine the number of people that also, contact those. And you can probably see exactly the same pattern with the rest of our colleagues in the other Big Four networks. So again, be visible. Create eminence around yourself. Find opportunities where those who don't know you, that you have those kind of competencies and capability, can see you. And then more importantly, also network and find mentors, within the professional practice. There are several people who reach out in that particular case. When they say, oh, we just want you to be my mentor, we just want you to support and all of that. Part of the deliverables they put ahead is to let you also know what they are doing, what they're capable of doing, and how they can be of help. So again, it's all builds down to the thing I'm talking about. If I don't know you, if I don't know you exist, even if I want to do it, I'll probably only refer you to the person, that I know. So do that and also reach out so that it can be both ways. Sometimes when these opportunities drop on your laps, it's the first person that comes to your mind, or the last person that you saw, or somebody that it's not because you didn't like the opportunity to go to other people. So we do some of those. Of course, we work with the institutes, both Ican, both CITN, and a number of other professional bodies to see how we can build capacity. There's something similar that I'm doing, working with some of our other colleagues with another professional bodies, where they want to do something similar, and in fact they want to run it like a scheme or program where they will run a 3-layer, kind of a certification program just to build and create exposure for people who are running individual businesses that also want to run it by way of partnership and all of that. So maybe it's also for us to, let's put our ears on the ground and see where those opportunities exist. At the end of the day, it's like you elder says, it's the child whose hands is lifted that we get a helping hand from the elders to raise them up. So that's number one. My district chair, Okwande Sheson. So you talk about partnership and all of that, and trust exposure. I think your question is more around how do we get the right kind of people. Maybe you were wrong by saying I'm not an introvert. I think I see myself as an introvert. But I think what you do in business is you really need to understand what you need for your type of business. This is not about your personality profile. Should not stop your you developing capabilities and competencies in what you need. So when you're trying to look for the right person to come in, okay, you know your values. So again, I spoke about ensuring that when you are running a partnership with another person, be sure that there's an alignment of values. Okay, so if you know that this person is just this frivolous, wasteful spender, he doesn't want structure, he doesn't want this, it's a red flag. Okay, and I mean, I was talking to another colleague, a senior colleague who is running his practice now. He said, look, I've also had my unsuccessful experiences. The person is running a thriving business now in partnership with some other people. He said, but before we got here, we actually, had our fingers, I got my fingers burnt. We're trying to work with different people, and I've made, unsuccessful attempts. But he was able to get out of it because there was contract, there was agreement, so it was easy for the partnership to be dissolved. So, which is part of the comment I made earlier. Put structure around it, so including structure for dispute resolution, for dissolution of the partnership and all of that, so they don't hold you by the jugular just because it didn't work. Because at the end of the day, you can only know people this much. It's almost like marriage. Use 7 years to cut and to date someone. After he's put a ring on it, the man and the woman show their true color. So sometimes it happens in business. So it's because you're not God, but you must make sure that there are structure to ensure that you can unwind it when it cannot happen. But before you do that, try to also make sure that you do your best to see what you can do to help the other person, because sometimes it's just the exposure, sometimes it's what they've known. If for example, I've worked in a big four, or you have worked in a structured organization before, and then you are partnering with someone who has a potential, but he hasn't done it before. Now, the person will bring it to the table, not because the person doesn't have the capacity, if you are patient enough to help the person, but because the person doesn't have that experience. So there's a whole lot of things that are involved. So you need to evaluate whether this is person that is just suffering from ignorance, or this is someone that is just a dry fish that cannot be bent. And when you have discovered that this is where it is, then you move on. You've learned, you've seen some things that you can build on. But for me, if I'm looking for a partner in a business, so I'm looking for a person with the right skill sets, okay, with the right drive, for business. The person who also understands that this is about the future. We will need to pay it forward. We will need to invest. Not the person that thinks, whatever we have now, let's waste everything. And so those are the kind of elements I will be looking for. But also importantly, I will try to exercise patience in the earlier days. So I'm the type that I take time to trust, but I also take time to exit. I pay as much, I put in as much effort to at least make it work, because I know that if I get into another relationship or union or partnership, the person will show a different side, okay, that I may also not like. So maybe if I've been patient to work it out with this person, maybe we'll get a better outcome. And the more you allow the person to get trained, right, see life in a different way, the more their orientation and approach to life changes. Okay, madam, the third person was just an appreciation. Thank you so much, madam, for the commendation. And then Amara, your question is quite similar to Cheson's question, but because your own is particularly situated with running the business with your partner, it may be slightly tricky. The way you run it with an external person may be slightly different. And maybe the best I can say, as a general thing is, it may be helpful to have maybe a little more one-on-one with you, so that we can break it down quite a lot more. But you need to be careful, because when you're in marriage, you have the business and then you have your marriage. Okay, so at the end of the day, you don't want the business to be the basis for terminating your marriage. Okay, and so you need to manage it differently. In my own view, if it's been seen, or if it's been established that from a business side there are a lot more friction, on that side, that may be affecting your marriage. Maybe it may be helpful to separate, business or running a joint business together from just the marriage, so that you can salvage your marriage, if it's really that. But otherwise, the general rule around working with anybody, is there, because sometimes people act in certain ways because they don't know. People act in certain ways because that's the limit of their knowledge or the limit of their exposure. So particularly because it's your partner, right? If the business succeeds, you're all in it together. Okay, if it fails, you're both in it together. So that should be a stronger motivation to be able to be more patient, to let the person see perspective, get the person to do things that will also broaden their own horizon, and all of that. You do all of that. But when it cannot work, if it can be done in such a way it will also not spoil the marriage, you can as well run different practices. So, and it can be the same entity or the same firm. Let this person run, if you are auditor and then she's maybe a consultant or a tax person and all of that, it can be a separate, running the same brand, and you can run the business in a particular way, and then he can run the business, almost like having different branches or different expression, for the type of business. So that's the kind of things I could think about, because there's also the dimension of somebody who just think, I want to run the business in such a way that should the marriage fail, I don't lose it all. You know, that's a slightly different and slightly more complicated structure, because while you are doing that, it can also breed some bit of suspicion. If the person know that every time I'm your husband or I'm your wife, but every time that we're, you know, you are trying to sign dotted line in this agreement as though you are just looking for, you know, what you are going to show to the court to say you own this, you know, percentage of my life, you know, and all of that. So it may be a little bit tricky, but we can. I mean, I can offer some bit of personal insight or personal based on my limited experience, and if my exposure and experience is not robust enough to guide, I can probably, you know, lead you in the direction of those who may be able to combine marital counseling with professional counseling, kind of a thing. So, but I think that's the best way I can put it, Amara. So you can reach out directly, and then we can talk. The last question, which is also from you, is around how to manage the volatility in income for a business, because when the business is doing well, employees think you should pay them so much, but they've forgotten that, you know, when the business is low, you still have an obligation to pay. And if time permits, I actually have a personal experience of that. When I was serving with my colleague, my boss in Benin, his firm name is Peter Ogbebo and Associates, Dollar Ogbebo and Associates in Benin. I was a core member, but I was already qualified, you know, when I was serving with him. And from the first week that I resumed with him, we won this deal of, you know, I think there were 18 local governments in Edo State, and we won the State Primary Education Board, you know, projects. And I was the lead for this project, you know. I'm talking of 1998. 2 years of audit for each of the local governments and core members. I think our allowance that year was maybe 2,500 naira per month. All right, in addition to the Alawi allowance that we were being paid. And I remember, I can't mention it on this call, maybe just for confidentiality, how much the fee for each year, you know, was, and we're doing 2 years. So the accountant in me just multiplied the fee by 2 by 18. And I'm like, I'm being paid 2,500 naira. That's 30,000 naira. That's not even half of the reimbursable expenses that one of the LGA SPEP pay us for our transport and traveling. I was furious. I'm like, 3 times I threatened my Oga that I was going to leave, you know, because I made sure that, you know, within 2-3 days, the first set of accounts for the first audit was ready. So I impressed him. I hope he's not even on this call. The man is still a very good dad and friend till date. You know, I threatened I was going to go, but the moral of the story was, as I was doing that, I actually didn't realize this aspect that you mentioned, Oyeka, where maybe we only had 3 of those type of job in a year. All right, there may be other small job, but the man had to pay me for the entire 12 months, including the post-service year when I was with him. So you may have one big job in 3 months, okay, and then the rest the man is still paying some other expenses and blah blah blah. Now, one of the things that the man used to win my heart was that he said, okay, don't worry. What I'm going to do is that, of course, he increased my allowance. I threatened him, and eventually I told him I was going to Standard Trust. You know, my people were going to Standard Trust, to banks. That was when STB just came, and then there's some subsidiaries of NNPC within it. So I told him I was going. So I think he eventually increased my allowance to close to 10,000 naira then, if I still remember my number very well. But what he told me was that, look, what I'm going to do is that I will give you, you know, an incentive, a percentage of the business that we make in a particular period. So it's something that I think work, because eventually I realized that there are several months that I should ideally have gotten 0, but the man continued to pay me, because when the business came and when we eventually got paid, I got a particular amount, you know, towards the end of my service year and all of that. So you can introduce something similar where the employee knows that, look, this is how the pay will be. A standard, you know, base pay is X amount. If we make so and so, all right, you will get, or the employee, everybody together, this is the percentage that we will share. So that way they can have a skin in the game. all right, you can also extend that to, they also being able to get opportunity. These days, you'll be surprised who people know. They may know an uncle, a friend, or somewhere, and if the person knows that a percentage of the revenue will come to me, they will market with a different kind of energy and all of that. So you can do that. So maybe that's one way of doing that. Of course, be a lot more open to them, within the limits of what somebody's talking, within the limit of what you consider appropriate for their age level. All right. So you can also share, because the more you communicate with these people, so we are paying, but these are our expenses. This is what we are doing. Because when I was doing the calculation, trust me, the only calculation I was doing was to compare my 30,000 naira with the total gross revenue that we're making from that audit fee. I don't know what else he was paying as referral fee, and all of that. A lot of things were going on. His rent, his this. The only thing I was doing was 30,000 naira is what I will be paid at the end of the year. 2,005 times 12 versus, the total revenue. But there's a lot more outflow. So maybe also making sure that the employee deserve a lot more. And that's the new generation of people that we're building. Okay. Before, who gave you the audacity to be questioning how much your guy is making? Today, somebody just employed, after the first 1 month of honeymoon is over, the person thinks, without me, or you can't run this business. So it's the Gen Z style, and you need to manage that quite differently. I think I will pause there so that.
All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Yomi. I will love you to have maybe 1 minute each to this question. They sent it to us earlier, and the first one is from Mr. Sulaiman. He said, how long can one wait to endure being considered a partner, even with skill? I hope you get that. Mr. Felix, please. So, Mr. Yomi, did you get the first question?
How long does it take to become a partner? How long can you wait to become a partner?
Can one wait to endure being considered a partner with a reasonable skill? That's one. So just take this to this. You can just use 30 seconds for this other one. After is from Okere Chimaobi FCA. He said, after 1 decade of experience in senior finance roles as an accountant in business, is it mandatory to undertake 36-month internship with a firm before one can apply for a license? So I know you can just take 1 minute to wrap.
Okay, the first one from Mr. Sulaiman looks, I don't know how I can do that in 1 minute. So I would say it depends, on the business that you want to be a partner in. Because different level of skill and different level of capacity may be required. But I will expect that on the average, even with the fast pace, something within an average of 10 should be an ideal number of years. So it may be shorter, depending if the business is quite small, and depending on at what point you are entering. Are you entering fresh from school, or are you entering from certain level of experience? But maybe the question is more loaded. There may be some other behind the scene to say, look, I've spent this number of years and I'm not seeing anything coming. So, but on the average, it's about your skill and the size of the firm that you want to, you want to enter. For practicing license, maybe it's the institute that can be the repository to say exactly. My knowledge is that you need 36 months of practice experience to be able to get a license. But I'm not an authority in that area, and you may need to subject that to verification from maybe the registrar or someone. I know this district also has some council member that can help you channel that question, just in case my response is not perfectly correct.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yomi. At this junction, we may not be able to take further questions. Please pardon us. You can send your question to us as requested before. We can still get it across and get you some feedback. In our program, it's time for us to appreciate and make presentation to our speaker. But before then, I would love us to take maybe 2 or 3 goodwill messages. If I don't know if any of our patron is on the call. If not, our IPC, Professor Godwin Oyedokun will just say, and I will love maybe an executive of another district or a chairman of another district to give a 1 minute goodwill mercy. So do we have any of our patron on the call? We don't have. Do we have?
Omidiji is on the call. Omidiji is on the call.
Good, that's good. Elder Omidiji, sir.
Well, thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. The chairman and ESCO members of our model district, Ilupeju Background Society. Again, let me, on behalf of the patrons of IGDS, also thank our resource person, Mr. Yomi, for taking time out of his very busy schedule to spend 2 hours on a partner's bill. I'm sure we cannot pay, but we thank you for allowing us to be part of, to share in part of your knowledge. And to members and friends who have joined on this call, we want to appreciate you. We want to say thank you. And of course, like we pride ourselves at the model district, this is just one of the very many goodies that we have in store. And of course, no matter whoever is listening, I am sure that Mr. Yomi is always welcome at the Ilupeju Background Society. Make it your second home, make it not the first, and you will always have our doors open onto you. Once again, on behalf of all the patrons of IGDS, I want to say congratulations to the district once again, and good evening all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elder Omidiji, FCA. Do we have any of our chairman from other districts?
Yeah, we have Idowu to be vice chairman, Akure. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Please speak to us, please.
Ajibola from Oba is here.
Just go ahead.
Hello.
Speak to us. Go ahead, sir.
Hello. Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Mr. Yomi. From Akure and District Society. My name is Idowu Otetubi, the vice chairman. I want to congratulate Ilupeju and District for this wonderful outing. And I want to thank Yomi for that wonderful presentation. It is apt at this auspicious time to have this kind of a theme when Nigeria is undergoing this economic turmoil. But this is an avenue for the young ones and those of us that are fairly, are very old in the profession to look at how do we make sure that there is proper succession plan. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, Yomi, for the wonderful presentation. And kindly send the slide to our mails so that we will have them in our various offices. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Idowu Otetubi. God bless you. At this point, I'll call on.
Dr. I'm around. I want to join my colleague to say thank you.
Okay.
This is Ajibola from Oba District, the vice chairman.
Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
It's a wonderful outing. Congratulations. More grace to your elbow.
God bless you. God bless you. So at this junction, we want to make a presentation of our. That's okay. That's okay, sir.
Hello.
Olufemi Bello.
Hello.
Okay. So, yes, sir. Please speak to us in 30 seconds, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. We to Bagada and District, it's a well done job. Close to you, and to our speaker, we want more of this to come. As we thank you for this wonderful thing. On behalf of my chairman, Abuwan District Society, we say well done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bello. God bless you. I call on our own Dr. Titilayo for welcome to appreciate our speaker, Mr. Yomi Olubenro.
Okay,
Dr. Titi,
thank you very
welcome,
much.
Please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead. I hear you, please.
Okay. Let me say that I've actually sat back and I listened keenly, and I can always resonate with how it all happened. When I say how it all happened, I know Yomi understood how it all happened when we were both in that side together, and now I'm on this side. So I want to really thank you very much for the time you spent. Having 2 hours of your time, I know partner hours now should be reading dollars. We've really taken our time to come and let us know how to make it happen. You said a lot, which I believe my colleagues would digest. The millennial ones in our midst, they would always consult you for more one-on-one as you have opened your doors for them. I want to believe that they will take advantage of that invitation, but not as much as bother you. We would also guide that process. Thank you very much for taking out the time out of a busy schedule. Thank you for coming to impart knowledge and letting us know how we can do it better and sharing the success story of our doyen and how he has been able to build a name and build a practice that has outlived him. Thank you so very much for the time spent. And thank you for all my colleagues, all my fellow district ESCOs that have made this happen, as well as our pioneer chair, the IPC, of everyone that have supported in making sure that this session comes up. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for sparing the time. We would look forward to another time when we invite you again for another enriching session and seminar. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Rocco.
Yeah, the next thing is for our VC to give a vote of thanks. But before then, I hope Mr. Yomi can see this thing we get to you. These are
Rocco, you cannot see it though.
You cannot see it. Okay. So don't worry.
Remove it, let him see very well. Raise it up. Yes. So, the young face. Yes.
Wow.
Mr. Yomi, can you see? Yes.
I can see.
Don't worry, it will get to you.
I can see.
Really,
thank you.
Yes, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the job well done. So over to you, Mr. Samuel Abeg, for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Today we had the pleasure of listening to an engaging and thought-provoking presentation on a topic that is both relevant and significant to our field and other business lines. Firstly and foremost, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to our distinguished paper presenter, Mr. Yomi Olugbenro, FCA, for sharing his valuable insight with us. The depth of knowledge and expertise demonstrated throughout the presentation truly showcase his dedication and hard work in researching for this subject matter. Before I move on, I would like to recognize some of the council members on this call. Despite the fact that most of them are our lecturers, they still find time to join the call. I would like to recognize Dr. Sheyi Olanrewaju, council member, Dr. Yemi Sonny, council members, our own pioneer chairman, Eda Gbenga Omidiji, council member also, and other chairmen of various districts across Nigeria. The topic presented today was not only enlightening, but also highly relevant to our entire life. In conclusion, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks and appreciation to our paper presenter for the extraordinary contribution to today's members in practice training. This is not only member in practice, but other colleagues who are in private sectors, government, and all the rest. Your expertise, dedication, and engaging presentation style have undoubtedly enriched our understanding of the subject matter. We look forward to more opportunity to learn from and collaborate with you in future. Thank you once again for an exceptional presentation, and we wish you continued success in your research endeavor. Thank you all for attending and make this session a resounding success. God bless you. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, Chief Abe, our VC. At this junction, we are closing and we take the Ican item, followed by the national item. The technical team, please.
Let's go dry fount of treasure in triumph of banner raised, standing stronger in harmony, building a land together. Dreams of a founding fathers, we are striving to attain our dreams and values that we share through all ages be sustained. Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Noble Ican, your accuracy we cherish. We uphold your integrity.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you for the
Thank you. It was a wonderful presentation. God bless
I
you
will look
all.
forward to something
Yes,
like
thank you
this
so
in the
much for
future.
attending. We enjoyed the presentation.
Thank
If you have not registered your
you very
name, do so on the chat box.
Chief Abe,
Yes, sir.
please ensure that the attendance and the log detail is kept, please.
He's safe now. He's safe. My PC, sir. Good evening, sir.
Hi, thank you.
Congratulations, though. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, sir.
Professor, I was looking for you. Mr. Yomi Olugbero is still on call.
Yomi Olugbero fáwọn èèyàn kò fẹ́ mi iṣẹ́, so I'm fighting him. How can he be giving everybody job and he didn't give me, and he said I should be I will fight him later. Yeah, we don't want him to take our time.
I'm no more on the call, Prof.
Professor.
I'm no more on the call.
Professor, you don't want him to take our time.
You are there. You are on the call.
You will start new lecture.
why you give me this work? Those that knows you that know my name. Even if you cannot give me on me, let's assume big and he has money. What about me?
Professor, you were not around when he was distributing the job.
No,
If
Prof,
we can
Prof,
talk,
Prof has
He
gone to
noticed,
the
he
realm of those
noticed
that
that
should be
you are
sharing
not in
part of the cookie.
the
Prof
country.
should be sharing to other aspiring. Prof.
Congratulations. That was a nice presentation. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. I'm sorry that we did not allow you to send somebody to represent you. Oh.
I know the people that knows my house address on this call, so that's why I didn't risk it. So you just knock my door and say you can start talking from here. Don't worry, it's a live call.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yomi. God bless you.
No problem. All right.
Thank you so much.
More.
Okay, I'm
Thank you so much.
Dr. Good to see you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Dr. Bode, thanks so much to all the
YouTube,
members. Thanks for the support.
I will send you YouTube.
Okay.